Not all workout programs are created equal. Some of them take you to the next level, and others just leave you exhausted. So, is the Caroline Girvan 6-week Rev Series actually worth it? As someone who's lost over 40 pounds naturally, and I've completed over 1,000 workouts with Caroline Girvan, which is insane to say, if I'm being honest, I don't just work out with them, I live these programs. And so today I want to give you my totally unfiltered opinion on the Rev Series, what works, what doesn't work, and help you decide if this program is right for you. So, if you are ready, by the end of this video, you're going to know if Rev is the right program for you and to help you get the results that you want. So, if you're ready, let's get started. What is the Rev program? So, Rev is a 6-week program from Caroline Girvan. It is located on her CGX app. So, you can either pay for the subscription for it, and I've done a whole review on the app in case you're curious that I can link for you in case you want to see more about the app and decide if the app is right for you. But it is on the app, and you can also do their 2-week free trial if you haven't already done the free trial on the app, if you wanted to test out this program for yourself. At the heart of Rev, it is a circuit series style of training. So if you really love circuits, then you're going to really like this program just sort of by default because it is circuit style training. And some of y'all love circuits, some of y'all hate circuits. I guess it really depends on the person that you are. I personally like circuits. Like, they're not my first choice, but I do like circuits. I don't really have a problem with circuits, as if they're a person or something, right? But, I like a circuit training program. I do, there are pros and cons, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm not quite ready to go there yet. So it is a circuit style training program. There are 2 lower body days that include abs, and then there is 2 arm day workouts and then a full body day. So typically it was, for me, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, rest Thursday, workout Friday, rest Saturday. That's just what works for me. It's designed to be a 5-day-a-week training program, but you certainly don't have to do it that way. That's just the way that it's designed. And so you kind of have to do, again, what works best for you and what is most functional for you and for your schedule. So with that, you have those 5 workouts a week. And I do like that she has added back the full body days because, y'all, when I tell you that full body workouts are my favorite, full body workouts are like 100% my favorite style of workout. Is it always necessary or appropriate? No, but it is my favorite. A portion of this video is kindly sponsored by Halara. So thank you to Halara for supporting and sponsoring a portion of today's video. So since I last worked with them, I now have the opportunity to share with you about their Halara Circle program, which is a really cool opportunity for us as customers to be able to not only try, but review their products and send feedback, which means as customers, we are basically part of the process of designing and creating, which I absolutely love. As someone who is super particular about their workout clothing in particular, I love the fact that Halara is now giving the customers the opportunity to try out stuff for free. So at the beginning of the month, when the process opens, you can sign up for particular items that you want to try. They send them to you, you try them for free, and then you get to keep them, which again, I just think is such a cool opportunity for us as customers. And I really appreciate that they're trying to incorporate our feedback into what they want and what they love, which is probably why their leggings are just so daggum soft. Okay. I cannot with the leggings. They're so soft. I also have an opportunity to share some of the awesome leggings that I really love from them in today's video with you. So these are the SoCinched high-waisted scrunch butt lifting tummy control side pocket shaping training UltraSculpt fabric leggings, and these are a super breathable and sweat absorbing fabric with 4-way stretch. They are so freaking soft, y'all, and they have compression, which is going to give you that support. And as a mom with a little one, I do still have a little bit of like a lower belly pooch. And I really like that there is an added support band there. It just makes me feel super supported when I'm trying to work out. And I love that you can wear them to exercise, but also just sort of out and about in daily life. Because if I'm being perfectly honest with you, there are days that I have to go to my son's school pickup and I just go straight from the gym or straight from my home gym to picking him up. And they're comfortable to wear, they're comfortable to run around in. And I just love that about them. They come in 20 different colors, y'all. 20. That is absurd, okay? 3 lengths and sizes extra small to 3X. So I love that they are size inclusive and they have these great leggings in so many different sizes. I love that about them. This is definitely going to help you to feel supported while you work out and give you that lifted booty look. If you are looking for the lifted booty that you see on Instagram, these leggings we'll give it to you, girl. Of course, because it's Halara, there are pockets. And who does not love a pocket? They really are just such good quality for the price. These are just some of my softest leggings, and I just love them. I really do. Then these are the SoCinched high-waisted tummy control side pocket shaping training, and these are also in the UltraSculpt legging. These have the same awesome features as the other pair. They just don't have the butt lifting panels. So if you don't want or don't need the butt lifting panels, these are very similar, but they really do still make your butt look very, very nice. I'm not going to lie to you. And of course, the pockets and the fabric are the same without the panel on the butt. They come in 24 colors and in 3 different lengths and go from a size extra small again to 4X. And I just love both styles, honestly, and it's so hard to choose. I'd love to know which color and style is your favorite. And I would love to know, if you've tried these, what you love. Again, I love them both. It's really hard to choose. I do love a good booty lift, but I think my favorite is the one without the booty lift for whatever reason. And if you'd like to purchase, there is a coupon code here for you on the screen that I will link. And there'll also be a link in the description bar for all of these items in case you'd like to pick them up for yourself. And again, thank you to Halara for sponsoring this portion of the video. And also a huge thank you to you guys for giving me these opportunities. These workouts are going to run you between 40 and 45 minutes in length and duration, because to me, this is a longer program I do, because start to finish, it probably takes me round about an hour, because the video, like the workout itself, is 40 to 45 minutes, but there's you need to warm up, you should cool down, those sort of things. So for me, I feel like this ends up taking me close to an hour to complete for Rev. And some of y'all will like that and some of you don't. And the other reason it takes a little bit longer is, again, because it is circuit style training. You jump around significantly more than you would do if you were doing a non-circuit style training. And so again, that might make it take a little bit longer for you if you have to move equipment around, change your setup, etc. So just something to keep in mind about how much time you can commit to a workout. For some of you, it won't matter that, it's 40 to 45 minutes. That's perfect. That fits right in with the time you have to offer. And for some of you, that's going to be too much. So it really depends on which camp you're in. For me, I prefer a 30 to 40 minute. That's like my sweet spot for workouts in the morning. Again, it's really personal preference though. So if you like the 40 to 45 minutes, then you'll like this program, because it is 40 to 45 minutes. And it is true to that timer. But again, remember, you should be warming up and cooling down. So please don't forget that. If you're finding this video useful or helpful in some way, would you do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up? It just lets YouTube know that this video is useful or helpful in some way so that it can share it out to others of us. And if you took the time to do that, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you. It is a 6-week program, so there are 30 workouts in this program. So it's one of her middle of the road series. So if you're familiar with her YouTube content, it's going to be the same length as like a Fuel. I believe Iron on YouTube is also 6 weeks. Iron on the app is longer, but Iron on YouTube is 6 weeks. Fuel is 6 weeks. So it's not as long as the Epic training programs. It is a shorter program because it is 6 weeks. And for equipment, there are a fair amount of pieces of equipment, I feel like, in this particular program. So she did recommend, obviously you're going to need dumbbells or a barbell. A mat is helpful. I don't typically use a mat because I'm on carpet, but if you're at a gym, obviously you would be more inclined to use a mat. And, if you are one of those people who just likes having a mat, but a mat is always good. A chair or bench. So for me, I use my booty sprout because that's what I use for hip thrusts. And when I tell you there are a lot of hip thrusts and a lot of use from the booty sprout, this particular series, I mean it. I use the heck out of my booty sprout in this particular program. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward and deciding. I'm not telling you need to buy a booty sprout. If you want to buy a booty sprout, great. I love it for you. I love it. It's a piece of equipment I love. This is not sponsored by Booty Sprout, by the way. I love it. I think it's a really great piece of equipment, but I did use it a ton in this series. But if you're like Caroline tends to use either a bench or a chair and a barbell. If that's your preference, you can get barbells on Amazon as well. It really just depends on kind of where you are from a load standpoint and being able to accurately and adequately do the hip thrust. Or of course, if you're at a gym, using the Smith machine or something like that. So it really depends, but there were a lot of hip thrusts. Now I did replace there were a fair amount of glute bridges, like weighted glute bridges. And I just exchanged those with the hip thrust just because it's easier for me to load up and just easier for me to do hip thrust rather than do the glute bridges. So sometimes there were glute bridges that rather than using and setting up my barbell, I just went ahead and used my booty sprout instead. So again, personal preference thing, but there is a fair amount of that in this program. Some other recommendations are some push-up bars. Again, this is not something that you need, but something that Caroline uses. And if you want more depth in your push-ups, then the push-up bars are a great addition. They're not super expensive. But if you want a pair of push-up bars, that is one of the recommendations, but again, not completely necessary. Of course, wrist straps, if you're going to lift a little bit heavier, you're going to want some sort of wrist strap most likely. I have a couple of different kinds. I honestly prefer like the weight gloves as my personal preference, but if you're planning to lift a little bit heavier, Caroline does recommend and have some wrist straps, but of course, that again is an optional sort of piece of equipment for you. So, very much depends on what you have access to and whether or not you're working out at a gym or if you're working out from home. It's very much going to, depend on what you have access to and all those sort of things. But those are the recommended pieces of equipment. And I feel like this is one of those that I used more equipment than I typically do. So again, that may be a pro, that may be a con for you. If you're going to the gym, then it probably doesn't matter too much. But if you're not, oh, of course, a glute band too. I didn't mention that. I don't have that on my list for some reason, but a glute band too is also one of the things that's on the list. So those are all the pieces of equipment. Again, it's a fair amount of stuff this time, but again, most of it is optional. I would, again, highly recommend a booty sprout to you, but if you have other ways of doing hip thrusts, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. When I first started working out with Caroline and I did hip thrust workouts, I used a couch, a chair, and a dumbbell, and that worked just fine. So don't think just because you don't have a booty sprout or just because you don't have certain XYZ booty equipment doesn't mean you can't do this workout. So just want to say that. I don't want to deter you unnecessarily. And the other thing that's interesting about Rev, though, is even though it is a circuit series at heart, there is a ton of variety. And I mean a ton. It anywhere from like duration of time to the style of the circuit. Like, sometimes there were, complexes inside of the circuit. Sometimes there were supersets, sometimes there were trisets. So much variety in all these circuits. So if you like variety and variety is the spice of life for you, you get bored really easily at the gym, then you will absolutely love Rev because it is nothing but shaking it up. It is nothing but, surprises and changing the pace and all those things. The other thing that's interesting about Rev is that it is a combination of strength training with some body weight infused, not in every workout that I can think of, but in a decent handful of workouts, you're going to have both dumbbells and body weight working with you throughout the program. So you won't just need dumbbells, you'll also sometimes need your body weight. And sometimes that can be more painful. If you've ever done a Caroline calisthenics workout, if you know, you know. Okay. If you know, you know. Y'all, Caroline calisthenics, I cannot. Hate it. Really and truly. But if you've ever done a Caroline calisthenics workout, then you know how difficult Caroline likes to make movements that are body weight only. Another piece of Rev that's really important to know is that there is a fair amount of cardio components in this. When I'm comparing it to like her library of workouts, it kind of feels like a cross between like, I don't want to say fuel because fuel is a lot of cardio. And lighter weights, but there's sort of some elements that are kind of like akin to fuel, but not to the same level as fuel. And then there are some like heavier load, but like dumbbell days. So I don't really feel like, from my mind, there's not really a program that directly compares to this particular program. But in some ways, the cardio infusion does mean that you occasionally need to use a lighter or more moderate weight. And for me, a lot of you guys always ask, and I always forget to tell you. So generally speaking, when I personally am working out with Caroline now, remember that I have been exercising with Caroline for 4 years at this point, and I am basing my weights off of what she uses. And so typically what I will do is whatever weight she has on the screen, I will subtract roughly 5 to 10 pounds. So like, if she's using 30 kg, which is, for us Americans, that's about 16 pounds, if I'm mathing right. I basically just cut it in half. So that's like 15 pounds. So if she's using a 15-pound weight, I'm probably going to use, 12 to 15 pounds maximum. And usually that's a pretty good fit for me, but everybody's different. Everybody's training and starting at different spots. When I started with Caroline, I had a pair of 5s and a pair of 8s and a pair of 10s. And that worked for me for quite a while. So, keep in mind where you are from a training standpoint. Caroline has a very strong upper body, okay? My legs can keep up with her legs most of the time or get close to, but she has a very strong legs and very strong upper body. So for me, I tend to back off a bit more upper body than she does, but that's sort of where I run from a weight standpoint. And so for this one, we use like relatively moderate weights during Rev. Like, I think the maximum, like the heaviest weight I used was for doing like squats and things like that. And that was between 50 and 60 pounds. And then we went as light as, like, for me, 8 pounds, because there are quite a bit of, smaller muscles being worked when we're doing like lateral raises and stuff like that. There was a fair amount of, accessory work that was done, especially on upper body days. So, you're going to probably need a decent range of weights if you've been working out for a while. And like I said, there are some cardio bursts. I think I completely lost my train of thought. I went down a different rabbit hole. And what I was going to say is, though, there are some cardio bursts in here, which means that you might typically want a little bit lighter weights because of the random sort of infusion of cardio within the strength portions. So it might be, you might do, let's say, some lunges, and then the next set might be some sort of like squat jump or something. So that's going to get your heart rate elevated. And when you have a higher elevated heart rate, obviously, you typically want to go a little bit lighter with your dumbbells. So, but there is no hit day involved. I know some of y'all really like hit days, some of you hate them. I miss hit days. I really miss the days when she had like a hit day infused on Sunday. I'm odd, I guess. But I really miss like a hits focused program. I'm hoping maybe this next series she'll bring back some of the hit, but who knows? But I like hit days. If you don't like hit days, then you'll like the fact that there is no hit specific day in here. So this program, for me specifically, in terms of results, let's talk about results now. It did take me 8 weeks to complete the 6-week program because I got sick twice. I got sick. I did the first week and then I got sick. And then I got through most of it, and I had like 2 weeks left, and then I got sick again because I have a toddler and this is my life right now. And also it's illness season. Anybody else? Anybody else riding that struggle bus? I pray that we are almost done and we are almost out of it, but it did take me 8 weeks. And I don't necessarily think that those 2 weeks being off the program necessarily impacted my results or anything. You will notice from my before and afters that there is some improvement. And when I did my measurements, I do notice a slight increase, especially in glutes. I've mentioned this a couple of times in passing, but I do really feel like if you're interested in growing glutes, this is a great program option for you, because I felt like there was a lot of focus and emphasis on targeting glutes specifically based on the type of exercises that she chose. There were a lot of RDLs, there were a lot of hip thrusts. There was a fair amount of squatting. So if you're looking for a program to grow glutes, that is really hard to say. Grow glutes, then Rev may be a good option for you. Which I think is partly why I had more glute growth than I have had in some of the programs in the past. And I've talked about this before. I talked about it in my glute growth video, but you can also modify exercises that are supposed to be quad or leg focused to target more of your glutes if you change the way that you're doing the exercise. So, that's something to keep in mind as well, but certainly not necessary in Rev, in my opinion. You will find, though, that with this particular program, it doesn't follow the traditional sort of progressive overload style. And it's interesting because I noticed in the finale, Caroline kind of commented on this too. And I think it's really important to remember, yes, progressive overload is absolutely a way to grow muscle. Okay. And I will tell you that that is absolutely a great way to grow muscle and is a very effective way to do so. But I also want to remind you that there's not just one way to train. And I can tell you from personal experience that Caroline's workouts have worked for me. Do I fully understand everything about why her workouts work? No, I really and truly don't. If I'm being honest with you, I have just chalked it up to the fact that she is just really good at it. It's just a God-given gift that she knows how to program workouts. And I think some of it probably is just the sheer fact that she makes hard workouts. And so when you're being pushed to your limit, when you're being pushed close to failure, you're going to grow muscle. But I can't tell you, yes, I know exactly why all of this works the way that it does, because I absolutely do not. I don't pretend to. I understand the biomechanics of like how exercises work, how muscle works. I didn't when I started, but I do now, because that's what I like to do, is read, research, and listen to podcasts about all of these kinds of things. And this is no exception. So I can't fully understand why it works the way that it does, but I think the reality of it is that, especially if you're on a weight loss journey or if you're looking to get a certain physique, the goal is to build muscle and lose fat. And, Caroline's programs are definitely going to help you build muscle. But progressive overload will do the same. But this is just going to give you a little more variety. It really is what you love. So just because you don't love this program or that program, doesn't mean that you can't, build muscle in the way that you do. But I think, seeing the results from Girvanators in the Facebook group, as well as like seeing results from my own personal experience, her programs work. They just do. End of story, point blank. They may not be like your quote traditional progressive overload, but they work. They do the job. And they just might be a little more variety is the spice of life. And if you like variety, then that's probably a good thing for you. And so that's, just something to keep in mind. And some people will say, like myself, I think Caroline has some of the best programs on the internet. Other people will disagree with me. I've heard people say like she does too much, which is also their prerogative and also fine. At the end of the day, I think what matters most is your consistency and willingness to do whatever program it is that's put in front of you, especially when it comes to weight training. So if you know that the program is a good program and you're doing it consistently, you'll get where you want to be. And I think that's true of Rev as well. If you're consistently working out, if you're consistently training with the Rev program, you're going to see the results that you want to see. And if you're not, you won't. And if you're trying to lose weight or build a certain physique, then we need to make sure that we're, highlighting eating enough protein, making sure we're getting an adequate amount of protein for our, optimal body weight or our ideal body weight or whatever weight we're shooting for. And we want to make sure that as we're eating that, we're also living in some sort of calorie deficit. I won't spend a ton of time on that today. I did a video literally last week talking about that. So I'll link that here in case you'd like to see it. And you want more detail about that. But if you're going for a certain physique, those things matter as much, if not more, than what specific training program that you're using. And for me, Caroline is just someone I'm willing to work out with consistency. I just love her. I love her programs. I think they work. I've had great results with them, and I love her. And so because of that, that is why I continue to do her programs. And I do think it is a type of progressive overload. It's just not your like traditional type of progressive overload. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, that is all. I'll get down off my soapbox now. The one sort of critique I have about this program, it's not really a critique so much because for me, in my mind, Caroline's workouts are designed to be more at-home friendly. And I did travel during my time doing Rev to a gym a couple of times to do this workout. And I just think, generally speaking, circuit style training is a little inconvenient in the gym. You have more access to more stuff and more of like the weights and stuff, which is great. But from a convenience standpoint, it just isn't super convenient because you need a bunch of stuff and you have to jump around the gym a lot. And so it can take up more of your time and that sort of thing. So it's not my personal preference when I go to the gym to have to do a circuit style training because I feel like I'm taking up the Smith machine when other people want to use it because like I need it. So I got to stay close by. Y'all know gym people problems. So in that way, if you are a gym goer and you're doing Rev, it is circuit style, which is not necessarily the most convenient in a gym. I think this is better suited for, someone who has the at-home equipment to do. But again, that is very much personal preference. Some of y'all may be watching this having already completed Rev and you did it at the gym. And if that's you, I'd love to hear from you guys. Anybody who's completed Rev alongside me, I'd love to hear from you. What were your results? What did you love? Overall, I had a great experience with Rev. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun to play sort of with all the different kinds of training, with all the different types of sets and reps and time. And it was just a lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to, there's a 10-week series coming up called Max that I'm very much looking forward to. I saw Full Body Split, which makes me happy. So I'll be interested to see what that looks like. And I will definitely be completing that. And let me know if you guys want a review on that. And if you love this, I would love if you would stick around and subscribe and let me be your non-judgy mom friend who helps you reach your goals. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, friends.